Envision Eugene is our community's process for deciding where and how we should grow over the next 20 years. In March 2012, we released a draft recommendation, which includes a proposed urban growth boundary and strategies for accommodating jobs, homes, parks, and schools in our community. The project started as a mandate from the state to find land for accommodating our projected population growth, which is about 34,000 people over the next 20 years. But when we started the project, we also thought it was an opportunity to develop a long-range vision for how our community would grow. In terms of the context for our plan, we look at things like the economy, social equity trends, and environmental trends in our community to form the policy context for our plan as we go forward. In terms of the economy, one of the trends we know about our community is that average wages in Lane County are much lower than the state as a whole, anywhere between 11 and 16% lower than the state's average incomes. What that means for us is in our planning, we need to find ways to close that gap and provide good jobs for people across our community. In terms of social equity, some of the trends we're seeing in our community include, we know that 60% of our school kids in the Bethel School District and 40% in 4J are eligible for free and reduced lunches. And that's an indicator of families really struggling to make ends meet. In addition, 44% of our community members spend over 30% of their income on housing and utility costs. And what that means for our community is that people are struggling and having a hard time finding affordable housing options. In terms of our environmental trends, we actually are making some good progress in this area, and we're lucky in our community to have an adopted Community and Climate Energy Action Plan, which sets out goals for reducing fossil fuel use and greenhouse gas emissions. In recent years, we've actually seen the trend lines decrease in terms of the amount of energy and gasoline and natural gas that people are using in the Eugene area. So we want to continue these trends as we implement Envision Eugene. In terms of the process for developing the Envision Eugene recommendation, it was intentional from the very beginning to focus on the community's best outcomes and try to improve everyone's access to things like education, jobs, and housing opportunities across our community, which would help make Eugene more livable for everyone. Some of the ways we involved the community in coming up with the recommendation were traditional and some not so traditional. We had a lot of public meetings, we've had a comprehensive website with surveys and videos, and we held a youth art project to get people in the community, kids and their families, talking about what they love about Eugene and what they want to see in the future. We also worked with community groups, including a community resource group and a technical resource group, to try to make sure that we had every perspective about growth in the community talking together about what would make the plan work for everyone. With the publication of the draft recommendation, we are at about the halfway point in the project, and once we get direction from our City Council on the recommendation, we'll begin the formal adoption process. And once the plan is adopted by our City Council and the Lane County Board of Commissioners, then we can begin to implement the plan. Some of the key themes of the recommendation include addressing those environmental, social, and economic issues that we talked about a moment ago, and protecting neighborhood livability. We have a really high quality of life in Eugene, and again, we heard from people, protect what we've got and enhance our neighborhoods. Another value we heard over and over again was that we wanted to minimize the amount of expansion of our urban growth boundary, and in so doing, we would protect our most valuable farm and forest lands. Another key theme of the plan is that we need to be adaptable and flexible so that we can adjust our plan over time as things change. Finally, the plan needs to work for everyone and provide balance among the different needs in our community. Envision Eugene rests on a foundation of 7 pillars that work together. They include everything from economic opportunities to housing affordability, climate and energy goals, compact development and efficient transportation, neighborhood livability, natural resources, and adaptable and flexible implementation. The 7 pillars work together to form the vision for Envision Eugene, and the rest of the presentation will walk you through the key strategies for each of those 7 pillars. The first pillar talks about providing jobs in our community. With the recommendation, we're able to accommodate 91% of all of the jobs inside the current urban growth boundary. This includes 100% of our commercial jobs, which is retail and office, almost 100% of our government jobs, and about 72% of our industrial jobs. This map shows the locations in our community where we will be providing land for new jobs. The orange circles show places where we can accommodate additional commercial jobs in existing industrial areas. So these are places like Highway 99 and West 11th, where we have some small pieces of land that could be used more intensely. And we're proposing to make the zoning more flexible in those locations so that we could get a crossover of both industrial and commercial jobs. The other place we're looking to accommodate more commercial jobs is along our key transit corridors and in core commercial areas. The transit corridors show up as the light yellow highlighting, and the core commercial areas are the dark red areas like our downtown, Valley River Center, and shopping centers along our major roads. We'll need to focus our energy and our programs like incentives and business loans to companies that want to locate on those corridors. So that's not just in the downtown, but Coburg Road, Franklin Boulevard, South Willamette Street, and Highway 99 and River Road. Those areas are the places where people have told us they want to see more development, and that includes mixed-use development of commercial and multifamily, and office and retail development by itself. We also have a leftover need for industrial development that requires larger lots. And to find places for those larger lots, we need to expand our urban growth boundary. The purple area out by the airport is the recommended site of urban growth boundary expansion for industrial. This area was chosen because it's located between the airport and Highway 99. It's relatively easy to serve with city utilities, and it's big enough to provide the site area that we need for companies looking to locate on a large piece of land. To provide for our housing needs for the next 20 years, the recommendation is to provide 94% of all of our new homes inside the existing UGB. That includes 100% of all new multifamily homes and 90% of all new single-family homes. Multifamily homes are proposed to be located along those same key transit corridors and near the commercial areas, as well as throughout the community where they're already planned. In order to provide all of those multifamily homes inside the urban growth boundary, we'll have to take some actions to see more redevelopment in the places we want to see increased density. In terms of the single-family homes, there is a lot of land inside the existing urban growth boundary that can accommodate most of our single-family housing need. This includes vacant lands, partially vacant lands, and a certain amount of redevelopment throughout our community. But we're not proposing to increase density levels above what's currently allowed in single-family neighborhoods. This map shows our strategy for accommodating homes over the next 20 years. The blue circles show areas where we're proposing to change what kind of homes can be built in certain areas. This area near West 11th and Green Hill Roads is about 250 acres, and the recommendation is to change this from multifamily to more of a mixture of single-family and multifamily homes, and that will accommodate some of our needs for single-family. There are two smaller areas in North Eugene that are also proposed to be changed from multifamily to single-family. Even after doing that, we still have a leftover need to expand the urban growth boundary for single-family homes. There are two areas proposed for single-family expansion. The first area is on the south side of Clear Lake Road, and this could accommodate about 520 homes next to a planned park and a school. The second area is on Bailey Hill Road, and the study area is about 400 acres in size, but we only need about half of it to accommodate the rest of our single-family homes. The next step is to study which properties make sense to bring in out of those 400 acres. The urban growth boundary expansion process is pretty prescribed by state law. The first step in looking at potential expansion areas was to look at all of the lands surrounding Eugene that are currently planned for residential or commercial or industrial use by the county. This map shows those first cut areas that were studied. We considered things like natural resources, slopes, compatibility, and cost of extending services when looking at these areas. Taking everything into consideration, the best options for expanding for single family are the Clear Lake area and the Bailey Hill area. They balance the needs for providing efficient services, different housing cost options, and preserving our floodplain and farmland from expansion. For all of the recommended expansion areas, we will want to do master planning. And when we do that, we'll look at things like compatibility with the surroundings and access to amenities like neighborhood commercial services. These are some of the strategies to implement the neighborhood livability pillar. First and foremost, we're recommending not increasing density in established single-family neighborhoods beyond what's currently allowed. In addition, we'll want to continue the work on infill compatibility and opportunity siting as we implement the plan. We'll also want to do some neighborhood planning in parts of our community that are experiencing development pressure, such as the neighborhoods around the University of Oregon and River Road and Santa Clara. Schools are an important part of our neighborhood livability as well. And in terms of land need, we're proposing to bring in about 80 acres owned by the Bethel School District to provide for future enrollment. One of the best things about Eugene is access to parks and recreation. So the proposal includes bringing about 175 acres of new parks in the existing UGB, and then also expanding the urban growth boundary so we continue to grow our park system. One of the park sites is Golden Gardens Community Park in the Bethel area, and the other expansion area is for Santa Clara Community Park off of River Road Loop. This map shows you the location of the Bethel School District property, Golden Gardens Community Park, and Santa Clara Community Park. The strategies for implementing our climate change and energy resilience pillar include building more 20-minute neighborhoods. And a 20-minute neighborhood is a place where you can access services that you need on a daily basis within a 20-minute walk or bike ride. So these are things like parks, schools, and your neighborhood grocery store. Other strategies include promoting more energy-efficient development and incentivizing small homes towards the city core. The compact development and efficient transportation options pillar is about what kind of development we want to see in the future. We know that we don't want to have any urban growth expansion for multifamily or commercial, which means we need to transform those corridors and accommodate more redevelopment in the central parts of our community. While we do that, it's important that we protect adjacent neighborhoods from high-intensity uses and make sure that our transportation system can support the planned increase in density. There is also an update to Eugene's transportation system plan going on right now. This plan incorporates the Envision Eugene planned densities and also helps incorporate recent planning for improvements to pedestrian and bicycle systems. It also coordinates with Lane Transit District's long-range planning efforts. One of the things we heard from community members was that the natural environment is very important to Eugenians. We have critical habitats inside and outside of our urban growth boundary that we propose to keep on protecting so that we have those resources for generations to come. The last pillar is to provide for flexible and adaptable implementation, and it's really important that we do this. The plan needs to be adaptable as things change over time. The plan proposes continually working on our land use code and developing implementation tools that can let us be flexible as things change. So bringing it all together, this map shows the community vision for Eugene for the next 20 years. In that time period, our population will grow 20%, but our land footprint will only grow by 3%. And we're able to do that by focusing our energy and our investments on the core areas of our city. The community vision is a result of thousands of comments and hours spent by community members like you. As we go forward, it will be critical to work together on implementation so that the vision becomes a reality. To find out where the plan goes from here, check the website at www.envisioneugene.org.